Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at the Klein 11-in-1 magnetic screwdriver, as well as checking out the OG 11-in-1 screwdriver and comparing the two. If you're new to the channel, if you could please like and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. It would help me make more videos such as this. I've noticed there's been a little bit of controversy in the electrician community about this magnetic 11-in-1 screwdriver. So I'm going to go into a little bit of that controversy and tell you my personal opinion of the two. Let's go to the bench and check it out. Okay, so here we have the Klein magnetic 11-in-1 screwdriver. I've had this for about a year and it still looks like it's in good shape. I've owned the Klein 11-in-1 screwdriver for probably 10 years now. This is my third one of the original model, which this would, I guess the magnetic one would be my fourth one of these 11-in-1s I've owned. So let's just get straight to the controversy of this thing. Let's just get right into it. So I've noticed online that people talk about that the magnetic one opposed to the non-magnetic is sticky and has a difficult time opening or changing out your bits and your nut drivers, and you have to use a pliers. That is absolutely true. So for your bits, you can get the bits out with your hand at the end, but if you want to get out this little nut driver here, you're not going to be able to do that without using a pliers. Okay, so if this is as far as you've gotten to that video and you have a problem with opening these end little nut driver pieces on your 11-in-1, that's opposed to just going like that on the original with your hands. If you have a problem that you're going to have to use a pliers to get that out, do not buy the magnetic 11-in-1 because that's going to be your reality. Now you can get out, this is what you can do, you can get out kind of the whole thing without a pliers. You can swap it around to the other one without a pliers, but just this end piece, you're not going to get out that end piece without a pliers. And I've also seen some comments and some other videos reviewing this, well, can you just grease them up? And the answer to just being able to take some WD-40 to this thing and to be able to get that to slip out, or maybe once it's more worn out, is it going to be easier to get out? That's probably not true, because it's going to be hard to see, but the magnet is inside this shaft here, and the magnet inside this shaft is the reason why it's hard to get out. So, which is the whole point of this screwdriver, is that it's magnetic. So, with that being said, depending on if you want to go on the 11-in-1 original or the 11-in-1 magnetic, you're going to have to weigh the utility of using a pliers to take out this end piece versus the utility of having a magnet. So, speaking of magnet, let's check this out. So here's the original. It's just 832 machine screws. Nothing. Here's the magnetic. Alright, so pretty decent magnet on it. Another thing you'll notice, the difference between these two is the magnetic is a little bit longer. The original screwdriver we have at about 7 1/4. The magnetic we have at about 7 3/4 maybe, so maybe a ½ an inch longer on the magnetic 11-in-1. So now that we've gotten the controversy out of the way, once again you're going to have to weigh the utility of having a magnet versus the utility of not having to use the pliers to take out these little nut driver ends. So, alright, so we got rid of that drama, so let's get into actually owning a Klein 11-in-1. So if you're one of my international electrician viewers, or just international tool owner, and you're not really a huge buyer of Klein tools, because since Klein's an American tool brand, if you were going to own any Klein tool, I would say own the 11-in-1 screwdriver. This has been my favorite Klein tool I've ever owned. Typically my opinion of Klein is sometimes they're kind of take it or leave it as far as my preference for pliers. But for this multi-screwdriver, I've tried the Lennox one, I've tried the Milwaukee, and the Milwaukee was good, but the Milwaukee was a little beefy. I kind of like the size of this better. The Milwaukee was just a little thicker, which I wasn't a huge fan of. So I've tried using different multi-screwdrivers, but I like these Klein 11-in-1s. Another fun fact about myself is I've actually never bought a nut driver kit because I just use like a socket set and ratchets if I need a whole lot of nuts and bolts work as an electrician. So as far as in my tool pouch goes, this has been the only nut driving tool I've ever used, which if you're completely never had one of these Klein 11-in-1 screwdrivers, why they call it the 11-in-1 is because all of these little end pieces are going to be nut drivers, and then within these pieces you're going to see your bits. So you got your Phillips, your flats, I think there's Torx and square. So that's the whole premise of the 11-in-1, so that's how you get the 11 tools in the one. So let's talk about my personal preference of the magnetic versus the original, and owning this thing over the last year, and how much I've hated one more than the other. So let's just be clear here. I hate not having a magnetic screwdriver. It sucks, man. Like when you are in the middle of something, or you're in a weird spot as an electrician, like we often are, and your screw, man, is just constantly falling and you can lose it, and you're trying to, maybe you don't have an extra hand to hold on to that screw. Having a magnet is super handy on a screwdriver or any kind of a bit tip. So I hate not having a magnet. With that being said, this thing sucks that you have to use this pliers. But, you know, everybody's kind of dogging on Klein for that, like it's a design flaw. And I'm certainly no engineer or manufacturer of tools, so I'm a little ignorant on this, but I personally don't know how you would make a magnetic one of these without making it difficult to take out this end, because that's kind of the whole point, is you want to have that magnet, and in order to have that magnet, it's going to pull hard on this end piece. So I really don't know how you make a magnetic 11-in-1 screwdriver without having these be difficult to pull out. That's just my opinion. So it's not really an issue for me of which one I like more. To me, it's which one I hate more. And to me, I probably hate not having a magnetic screwdriver a little bit more than I hate having to use a pliers to switch around my nut driving ends. So in my opinion, if I was gonna pick between the magnetic and the non-magnetic, I would still buy the magnetic 11-in-1, but not by this huge margin, because it is, I mean, I'm not trying to underestimate the inconvenience of having to swap out these ends with the pliers, because it is obnoxious. So with that being said, I think I'm going to leave it at that. I am a fan of the 11-in-1 screwdriver though. This thing is super handy. I believe the OG 11-in-1 screwdriver on Amazon.com is the #1 best-selling screwdriver on the whole site. Which is kind of interesting. So even for non-electricians or non-professional builders, I think just all around the world, I think people might use these little Klein 11-in-1s, and for a good reason. You got all your nut drivers, you got all the different screwdriver bit ends you want. Yeah, this thing, they're pretty nice. So I've enjoyed owning one and will continue to own one. So with that being said, if you have any suggestions for tools for me to check out, please comment that below. If you have, or if you're still watching and you haven't liked and subscribed, please do that. That would help me out big time with making these videos. And as always, I really appreciate your time checking out this video. So take care. We'll see you next time.